Turnpike Sports is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com. Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weishuttle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weishuttle. Doug, great time of the year, football starting up, and me, like a lot of people, watched a Major League Baseball game from Iowa.
The first Major League Baseball game from Iowa. That was actually a very, very good game.
Very good game.
If you like baseball offense, it was a great game.
Let me tell you something. Me, like a whole lot of other people, watched it because apparently it was the most watched MLB game in 16 years. So I think it was a really great thing for MLB. And still, it was a great game. The Yankees, White Sox, it meant a lot for the baseball playoffs coming up. And I still turned it off in the middle of it, watched a little preseason football, but I did turn it back to see the great ending of the MLB game. So, an important baseball game like that, and I still turn to NFL. That kind of shows you how much pull NFL has. A meaningless NFL game, by the way.
Well, if you go on social media, you can actually tell how important the football season is because everybody's using the hashtag football is back.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see some of the sports books talk about the Field of Dreams game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought maybe the betting would be a little higher than it was, but most sports books are reporting normal handle for a baseball game.
Yeah. And truth be told, I put a little money on the White Sox and I won. So not only was a great setting, a great baseball game, I won a little money.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah. No, everyone was there. I mean, it was a big event. It was such a beautiful setting as well. So from all accounts, from what I'm hearing from MLB, they want to make that a regular thing. I mean, every year go to Iowa and do that game there because the field was beautiful.
Now, when does the NFL recreate draft day for the Hall of Fame game?
I don't know. The movie Draft Day.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I was trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah, another Kevin Costner movie.
Well, he's a sports fanatic, so it was actually a great game.
It was. It was a great game, great event. And speaking of great, we got a great show coming up for you. We got a Beatin The House segment. Of course, we have a book report coming up. And for my interview, I'm talking with Paul Burns, CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association. A lot of news coming out of Canada in sports betting. And a really great interview, giving us a lot of great information from Canada.
Just a little caveat before we air the interview. Mm-hmm. This was taped before legalized single-event sports betting became
officially legal.
Officially
legal. So, but he gave us some great information.
Great information on the entire industry up there.
That's Paul Burns, CEO of Canadian Gaming Association. It's been a busy week in sports, so let's take a trip down the Turnpike. Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Okay, we just got done mentioning how the NFL dominates pretty much every kind of sporting broadcast there is. The NFL has gone ahead and announced some changes to their sportsbook advertising methods for the upcoming season. And it's kind of interesting to watch the NFL change their tune about sports betting as this becomes more and more about a revenue machine for the league.
Let me tell you something. Before you get into what the NFL is doing, I mean, I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and I'm getting pounded over the head by sportsbook advertising, especially Caesars. If I see Bet Like a Caesars one more time, it's incredible. Who is it? J.B. Smooth.
And Carl.
And Carl, played by Patton Oswalt.
Well, you're going to see a huge blitz coming up.
Yeah.
As preseason gets closer and closer to the regular season, you're going to see a lot more advertising. And I'm talking not just in the games, but around the games, all that stuff.
By the way, as a bit of a tease, I'm not sure when we're running this interview, but great interview with Adam Small about sportsbooks and NFL advertising.
That's coming up soon.
It's coming up soon, so he gave us some great information.
Well, let's get into the NFL.
Okay.
Leave it to the NFL to be very, very ahead of the curve with some of this thinking. And before the end of last season, you started seeing the NFL start doing sports betting deals. They announced 3 major official sports betting partners: Caesars, DraftKings, and FanDuel.
Yep.
They just went ahead and announced 3 more, and these are second-tier partnerships.
Why don't they just go ahead and make deals with all the sports books? It's eventually going to happen.
Well, these
how many official sports books are there now?
Well, these aren't official sports books.
Oh, official?
No, these are co-official, whatever you want to call it. These are tier 2. How about that?
I like the fact we're doing a podcast and you still did air quotes.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
hey,
why are you doing air quotes? No one can see you.
It's the Italian in me.
Okay, but
gotta talk with my hands.
Yeah, I guess the official is not actual official. It's mostly official.
You got exclusive. You got official. You got all these different tiers that they got.
But
going
they are
on.
official. You can't be. You can't be a little bit. You can't be a little bit pregnant.
Well, what they're doing?
You're official or you're not official.
They announced three deals: BetMGM, PointsBet, WinBet.
All right.
They're tier 2. They joined FoxBet. Now, NFL has already said that there's probably going to be more tier 2 deals coming.
Now, when you say tier 2,
they can advertise, but they can't be on the field, like Caesars, DraftKings.
Okay,
different things. But they all have to do official data, which is where when DraftKings made that extension of their deal with Genius Sports, that was a sign of things to come. Everybody who has to do a deal with the NFL has to have official data through Genius Sports. And what that means, just so people know, Genius gets about 4% of a sportsbook pre-game betting gross, and then 6% of in-game betting gross.
They truly are Genius Sports.
Yes.
What a great name for that company, because what a brilliant deal.
Well,
what a brilliant deal.
That's even higher than what Sport Radar was doing when they were with the NFL. But Genius has taken over the deal with the NFL, so that's the terms that sportsbooks have to abide by when they do a deal for official data for the NFL. But I think the NFL was even smarter in what they did here with the announcement of in-game broadcast advertising. They're allowing networks to sell up to 6 ad spots, 1 in pregame, 1 at halftime, and 1 per quarter. And only the official books, the tier 1 and the tier 2 partners, can bid for those spots.
Okay.
So if you have 6 spots, you've got 7 books already who can actually apply to bid on those. They're creating their own little auction here.
Well, it doesn't mean that you're not going to see all of them on there, though. I mean,
that's all they're allowing,
right?
6.
I know, but I'm sure they're, are they going to spread it out? I mean, it's not going to be 6 from Caesars, is it? Or
whoever bids on it.
So it's a free for all. Here are 6.
They already know Caesars committed to at least 1 spot per game.
All right.
And also
spread it out.
Well, it's one of those things where they're trying to get the most price.
Sure.
And I think it's one of those deals where, if you think about it, the NFL is ahead of the curve, because you don't see baseball doing it, you don't see hockey doing this, you don't see basketball doing this. And basketball actually was really ahead of the curve for a while, but I think the NFL business side is always better than the other leagues.
Well, and also, even before the NFL games, especially New Jersey and Pennsylvania and a lot of shows coming out of New York, these pregame shows, I think DraftKings has a pregame show, Bet365 has the Jets pregame show.
Well, that's where...
There are so many pregame shows sponsored by sportsbooks here. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's where a lot of the other books are going to make their money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the national not the national broadcast, but the local.
Sure.
The local networks that do their own pregame, postgame, halftime shows. I know some teams even have a streamed halftime show for their teams. And I think there's a whole landscape here where it's just going to be an incredible ad spend, especially in this NFL season,
Sure.
especially with all the new markets that have sports
Oh, yeah,
betting.
no, absolutely.
There's going to be a huge, huge influx.
I would love to
advertising money.
see what's going on in Arizona right now with regard to the advertising in sports books, and especially over the next couple of weeks, right before the Arizona Cardinals start playing.
Well,
it should be constant.
As a little tease regarding Arizona,
okay.
We got a bunch of deals to talk about
All right.
in the book report.
Oh,
this
okay.
week,
Did
so.
I jump over into the book report territory?
Nope,
now?
nothing
Okay.
to do with advertising.
Okay.
It's just a lot of deals that happen in Arizona. There's like 14 now partnerships
Wow,
in
great.
the state, and that hasn't even launched
What a
yet.
market that's going to be. Arizona is going to be so much fun if you like sports betting.
And be prepared to be inundated for sports betting for the NFL season, too.
Oh, the advertise? Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it should be crazy.
Exit 2.
Okay, we're going to move from the NFL and advertising to eSports, and FTX is at it again.
Ah, okay.
FTX has been making deals everywhere. They did the naming rights stadium for the Miami Heat. They did a deal with an actual eSports team to rebrand the team name for like $210 million over 10 years. So FTX has always been active in terms of these deals. And now they have announced a 7-year deal with Riot Games.
Okay.
For the LCS, the League Championship Series in North America. That's the most popular championship series, and it's for League of Legends. Mm-hmm. It's the first time that Riot Games has done a sponsorship this long even with any sponsor. So cryptocurrency is kind of an interesting little outcropping that's really getting a niche in the esports industry.
Well, another tease. I had an interview with Ari Fox from Fox Marketing. They run the Casino Esports Conference, which I do a commercial for him.
Go right ahead.
It's going to be in Las Vegas this year at
Alexis Park,
October 6th through the 8th.
Yes.
I can't believe I remember that. But no, he's an esports expert, and we talk about cryptocurrency and the future of it in esports, and he said it's going to be a big part of esports. So looks like FTX is in front of the curve on this one.
Well, you're going to see FTX in various segments throughout all the League Championship Series broadcasts. You're going to see them as also the sponsor of the LCS Most Improved Player Award. And also, this is interesting. I said the deal represented the longest deal between Riot Games and a sponsor. At the end of this deal, the League Championship Series will be 20 years old.
Wow.
I can't believe it's that old already. I mean, it's 13 years now, and it's going to be 20 at the end of this deal.
Wow. Okay.
Now, a lot.
Another thing you just said, I didn't know they had these player awards like this. Like, I guess they have like an MVP and, like you said, the Most Improved Player Award. I didn't know they had those awards, those individual awards.
It's everything, just like a regular sporting season. They have award ceremonies. They have all this stuff. The one thing everyone is kind of questioning with this deal with Riot Games, and I mentioned the deal with TSM where they renamed the team FTX, whatever, then they renamed the brand of the team, all that stuff.
You don't remember? Hey, I remember the Casino Esports Conference and the dates. You can't remember the team name?
Well, I'm trying to get this right.
Come on.
FTX, they renamed it FTX TSM, so it's 6 letters instead of 3. What happened with that deal, and this is why everyone's kind of scratching their head, Riot Games has restrictions on cryptocurrency deals, so they couldn't actually have the brand renamed that way on broadcast. Now, they just did the Riot Games just did a deal with the same sponsor, FTX.
All right.
So everyone's wondering why they can actually do it, but they're restricting some of the clubs, especially this one club, from using the rebranded FTX name.
Okay.
It's kind of a question mark in all this, and it has to deal with a lot of different countries having higher restrictions in terms of cryptocurrencies, highly regulated industries there. China's one thing where they are very highly regulated for cryptocurrency.
A lot of eSport lawyers are busy right now.
Well, again,
hammering out the details.
You also have Twitch now doing some gambling banning. They're banning channels that have actually mentioned gambling entities in their streams.
Oh, okay.
So Twitch is doing a gambling ban of their own.
Well, isn't Twitch, maybe I'm wrong about this, you can correct me, isn't Twitch more skewed to the younger audience, so maybe they have some more restrictions like that?
It makes sense, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is skewed to the younger audience,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Right.
But again, you were starting to see some really regulated industries here. Cryptocurrency is one, and there are some activation restrictions that Riot does impose on the teams, but not themselves.
Okay.
So I think they're probably going to have to address this at some point.
Exit 3.
I'll be honest with you. The last couple of weeks, the different mergers and acquisitions with these companies out there between sports betting and media have just been completely out of control, I think. We've had 7 major M&As over the last couple of weeks here, and that is just incredible. So we're not going to leave NBC out of this.
Okay.
Except NBC approached it differently. NBC said everyone else is merging and acquiring all these different companies. We're just going to restructure ourselves and make our own merger and acquisition within our own division.
Okay.
NBC Sports Digital and Consumer Business Division has now combined under one brand the Sports Engine and Golf Now and NBC Sports Enterprises divisions. It's going to be called NBC Sports Next.
Okay.
And I don't know if you can call this a consolidation. It's more of a restructuring.
Well, let me ask you something. On my basic cable here in New Jersey, I have...
You won't see a difference.
I won't see... Okay, I have the NBC Sports Channel. Then I have the local NBC, NBC Philadelphia, which they have the pregame shows for the Eagles. They show the Phillies, and they have the pregame show there, and they have... the Sixers, and they have the Flyers. Now, will I see a change in that local station?
NBC Sports is not changing.
Okay.
This is just...
Will they change the name? You just said NBC Sports Next.
NBC Sports Next is going to be a subdivision of NBC Sports.
Okay.
The broadcasts you watch are not going to change. As a matter of fact, the new broadcast that they do, that NBC Sports Edge, with the betcasts, that's going to be part of all this.
Okay. All right.
NBC Sports Next will have 3 groups, and it's really just so that they can streamline making partnerships.
Okay. So really,
it's a business thing.
The viewer isn't really going to see a huge difference.
No,
is that what you're saying?
You actually may see NBC Sports kick into high gear with a lot of deals because of this restructuring. Because it's interesting the way they did this. They made 3 divisions underneath NBC Sports Next: the betting, gaming, and emerging media division, which includes the sports betting, the prediction, and the gaming resources. That's NBC Sports Edge, which I didn't know this. That's the rebrand of Roto World, their fantasy division. And they just include sports betting there with the fantasy. Then they have NBC Sports Predictor and NBC Sports Audio, which is another division that does original content for, as it says, audio. Mm-hmm. The next division, Youth and Recreational Sports. That comprises the Sports Engine, Go Motion, Tourney Machine, and Team Unify. That's for college and younger athletic groups.
Okay.
To develop and get some revenue through it, all that stuff. It really controls a lot of the younger. I don't want to say
millennials.
Yes,
I know the marketing people love the word millennials.
The younger athletes that aren't the pro sports.
And that might even be younger than millennials.
Yes,
now that you're describing it like that,
and it also allows them to develop coaching too.
All right.
So the last division is golf.
Golf.
It fuses Golf Now, Tee Off, and Golf Pass. Now, Golf Pass is just like the NBA Pass.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Basically, it's better content through those divisions, and also...
And is that a subscription service kind of thing?
Golf Pass has always been subscription.
All right.
And,
hey, they used to have Golf Channel. They used to have a morning show that I've never really watched, but is that still on?
Yep.
Oh, it is? Okay.
So... this will be interesting to watch what NBC does moving ahead because, again, this streamlines the process to go ahead and make deals.
Exit 4.
And last but not least, you can't have a sports betting show or a sports business show nowadays without talking about Barstool.
Yeah.
And recently, Barstool got into the news for a deal they haven't made.
You're talking about the MLB thing, right?
Right.
I don't know what the hell.
Reports
I don't know
everywhere.
what's going on with that.
I thought this was.
But let me tell you something. I would watch MLB on Barstool. I think it would be a good move for MLB. I'm not sure if they're even negotiating or what's going on because there are different stories around different people. I don't know.
Well, according to the New York Post, they got a report that MLB and Barstool were in advanced talks. And Sportico, a different opposing publication, found a source that said it was just a phone call.
Okay.
So there's conflicting reports here. The interesting thing with the New York Post report, it was detailed. It was very, very detailed. They're talking about games are expected to be delivered via Barstool's website, Twitter and Instagram accounts, their other media channels. It was going to be midweek games from the MLB that would be featured on Barstool, and it would be broadcast that they just take from the local feeds and just focus on in-game betting talk during the game.
See, that's interesting. The New York Post, that's very specific. I mean, that's it sounds like more than a phone call if you read the New York Post.
Well, according to the report brought up by Sportico, Barstool called MLB.
All right.
And
which is good.
MLB took the call.
Hey, I think they should.
You have to.
I think it'd be a great idea,
because MLB is always looking for the younger audience.
Absolutely. And that's why Barstool would be a perfect fit for MLB.
That's exactly it.
I think, but whatever.
And the report from Sportico says it didn't go further than a phone call. And according to Sportico, MLB was surprised when this story broke on the Post. Now, both parties have not commented at all anymore on this discussion, this phone call that they had.
Well, MLB didn't deny anything, right?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
As a matter of fact, I can see MLB's position because not only does it get the possibility of a younger audience through Barstool, it also makes their rights more valuable to other groups like DraftKings, FanDuel, who are all doing their own media broadcasting divisions.
Plus, the publicity for Barstool and MLB regarding this story is great. I mean, we're talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it. Everyone's saying it'd be a great idea to get the younger audience back into MLB, but, you know. Hey, like what I said, you know, MLB needed to do something. I mean, the thing in Iowa was great. You know, I watched it, but you know what? Still in the middle of it, I was flipping on and off between that and preseason football. Now, if you're competing with preseason football and you're not doing great in this competition between preseason football, meaningless football, by the way, you need to do something. But, you know, like I said, they need to do something like this Iowa thing. They need to do something with Barstool or entities like that.
I think they also missed the boat with the Field of Dreams game because they needed an alternate broadcast, a betting broadcast for it. That would have been very interesting to watch.
I don't know. That for me, watching that in the cornfield and families together, it seems so wholesome. Yeah, I don't. You know, I put a bet on it, but
it was
you know
so
what?
wholesome. Everybody was running Field of Dreams specials in all the books.
I know, but you know what? It felt good watching it. It almost felt like I was watching a barnstorming team or some minor league team out in the cornfields of Iowa. It was great. I mean, I didn't want to see betting information on the screen at the time when these guys were playing, but you know, I had my phone and I was betting,
of course.
But you know, it was nice to see. So
I just think a Barstool in-game betting broadcast for baseball,
it'd be great.
That is something I could watch for more than 5 innings because I have to tell you right now, baseball I can't watch for more than 4 or 5 innings.
Yeah, well, depending on the game, you know.
That's true. That's true.
And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
Well, we got a great show coming up for you. We got a Beatin The House segment. We got a book report. But coming up, I'm talking with Paul Burns, CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association. Lots of news coming out of Canada. And we're going to get the lowdown from Paul Burns. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. With some of the best promotions and offers in the sports betting market, PointsBet simply stands out. PointsBet is the only U.S. online bookmaker to offer points betting, where every yard, every point, every goal, even every play matters. Same-game parlays, good karma payouts, early payouts, and exclusive game day promotions and guarantees for all sports. PointsBet offers more bet types than any other bookmaker in the world, offering a unique set of markets that aren't available anywhere else. And now PointsBet is offering one of the best sign-up offers in the sports betting market today. New customers signing up with code BET21 receive 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Get up to $500 back if your first fixed odds bet loses, and up to $1,500 if your first points betting bet loses. That's code BET21 for 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000 at PointsBet. PointsBet, it pays to be fast. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Is your bathroom looking old and worn out? Want to update it, but you don't know where to start? Then let BCI Bath & Shower show you how to turn that old bath into an aisle of beauty and functionality. Our residential bathroom solutions provide the best value on the market, and our customer service is second to none. Our cost-effective BCI Bath & Shower family of products has what you need.
Remodeling our bathroom was a big decision for us.
They didn't make a mess out of our house at all. And at the end of the day, we had a beautiful new bathroom. And it was a great experience the whole way through.
We have the best monthly payment programs in the industry, with payments as low as $68 per month or no interest, no payments for 18 months. That's right. Get the bathroom of your dreams now and pay for it in 2021. Call 1-800-308-8291 for a free no-obligation price quote. That's 1-800-308-8291. When you want quality bathroom products at a great price, it's got to be BCI Bath & Shower. That's 1-800-308-8291.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. After a long time at home, people in the U.S. are starting to travel, and one of the places I can't wait to get back to is Canada. Not only is it one of the most beautiful countries in the world, it is doing amazing things in the field of gaming with their passage of single-game sports betting, and we are going to talk to a person who helped make that happen. On the line, we have the president and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, Paul Burns. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Paul, like I said, I've been to Canada lots of times, and I know you have some of the most beautiful casinos in the world. But for people who aren't familiar with the gambling scene in Canada, can you give us kind of an overview of what people can expect gambling-wise when they visit Canada?
Sure. It's there's probably just over 100 gaming floors across the country now across the provinces, from the British Columbia and the Lower Mainland, where there's some very robust, great properties. The River Rock Casino in Richmond, which is great resort entertainment, to terrific offerings in Alberta. There's 27 casinos in the province of Alberta. There's with a wide variety of offerings, some really new properties that have been built there lately, and as you come across into Ontario, which is the largest province in the country, just shy of 15 million people live here. And through Caesars Windsor, Mohegan, companies are operating in Niagara Falls with 2 properties at Casino Niagara and Fallsview Resort. We have Hard Rock, which is just hopefully soon going to be building new property in the Ottawa area. So, and obviously Great Canadian Casinos, which is the largest company in the country, they have 21 floors. They just opened a brand new casino in the east end of Toronto.
Wow.
This week. It was supposed to open in April of 2020. It obviously didn't for obvious reasons. And, it's a brand new facility. It still has a hotel and entertainment facility still to come, but there's a wide variety of offerings. And, it's predominantly a locals business, if you wanted to call it that. It's regional destinations. Save and except for Caesars Windsor, which drives a lot of their business out of the United States for obvious reasons, and Fallsview, both those, probably about 25% of their player base is out of the United States because they sit on the borders. Obviously, Niagara Falls is a huge tourism destination. About 12 million people visit a year, and the casino gets about 10 million visits a year. So it's a pretty popular place.
Now, when it comes to sports betting, Canada just passed C-218 into law, which allows what we call single-game betting. But before this particular bill, Canada had sports betting, but it was a different kind of sports betting. Can you explain what Canada had before this passage of the new law?
Sure. We had parlay wagering, basically what it was, because the restriction in the criminal code said you can't bet on the outcome of a single sporting event. And so gaming in Canada kind of grew out of provincial lottery corporations. These are government agencies that offered lottery products. And those organizations evolved to some offering casinos and building casinos to now online offerings. But what was part of this was a sports product. That was sports. We always referred to it as sports lottery. And lottery being the operative word for many because they were mostly selling it as 3-game parlays. As a minimum bet. And, their hold margins are really good, which means the customer really didn't like it very much. And so that product was doing, total wagering about $500 million a year. And it hadn't really grown much and hadn't really evolved much. But the unique thing in Canada, because of the growth of online gaming, we have what we would often refer to as a very strong gray market because the laws in Canada around internet gaming weren't clear from a couple of reasons. The lottery corporations were free to get into the business and they did. BCLC, British Columbia Lottery Corporation, through their playnow.com platform, it's a very robust platform. They do a really good job. They have a very good sports product. They just don't have single game right now. And others haven't had much of a sports product at all. But online gaming grew. And the issue in Canada is the law talked about the provinces having jurisdiction over gaming within their jurisdictions. And it's within the jurisdiction. So I go to Bet365, and where I place my bet? Well, am I placing it in Stoke-on-Trent in the UK? Or am I placing it in my living room where I live in Toronto? Mm-hmm. And the law's not clear. And most lawyers and legal opinions were offering up that, no, it's actually probably not occurring in Canada, and which means we can't enforce the laws extraterritorially. So there was this burgeoning gray market to the tune probably of a total handle gross wager on sports alone was over $4 billion annually. In online gaming and sports together, offshore companies are making about $1 billion a year in Canada.
Wow. Okay.
And no one was doing anything to stop it until recently. So, and that's where some things are changing.
I got to ask you, why do you think this was the perfect time for single-game sports betting to be passed in Canada? I mean, was this a time when all the legislators were on board with this, or why do you think now was the best time for this?
It was confounding. This was our third attempt. Mm-hmm. And in Canada, we have, as far as follow the British parliamentary system, so we have an elected House of Commons, like a House of Representatives, and then we have a Senate, but our Senate's appointed like the House of Lords in the UK. And so back in 2012, our first bill went through the House of Commons with the elected officials on a unanimous consent voice vote. Everybody's in favor. Yeah, let's do it. And it went to the Senate where it sat for 3.5 years and was never voted on. And they had a very different opinion of the world. And we tried again in 2016, and the government of the day, the House of Commons, wasn't as encouraging and didn't pass it because the government of Canada was the biggest priority at that point was legalizing cannabis, and they didn't want to do it. They just said, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to do cannabis, which they did. Mm-hmm. So we come back again, and in February of 2020, the Safe and Regulated Sports Betting Act was introduced again. And what has changed? Well, a few things. One, the professional sports leagues in North America have changed their opinion since our last attempt. That was one. That was a big one because they were really the only group that was sitting opposed. And so now we had virtually no opponents. Okay. No one was saying, don't do this.
Well, I was actually going to ask you about that. I know the NHL and Major League Baseball have teams in Canada, and I was just curious how much of an influence that the leagues were okay with sports betting. How much did that influence Canadian lawmakers to move forward with this?
A little bit. It took away. I can tell you that there was really what drove the argument here was the fact that there's billions of dollars being wagered on the product everybody wants through unregulated sites offshore. Mm-hmm. And that was a big driver to say, look, people are doing this. It's accessible because the law is not clear in Canada and there's no enforcement. So ultimately, we want to bring it inside the regulated marketplace, allow Canadian gaming operators to participate, which because of COVID actually became a pretty strong argument for us. Mm-hmm. That coming out of the Canadian casinos and gaming operators were, in British Columbia, the casinos opened on July 1st, having been closed since March of 2020. Other provinces had severe restrictions. Ontario, they only permitted 50 people for the few months they were able to open in the fall of 2020. And most every casino in the country has been closed since the beginning of 21 until early mid-June. And we're still waiting for a last few to open. And so the impact is huge. And, we have almost 100,000 direct jobs in this country. It was there's a lot of money raised for provincial governments because they're the business partners in most jurisdictions here. So they take a lot of the money. Uh-huh. And so there was a real movement to say that the sector needs some help, and this is the time. And so there was a lot of things that came together. And obviously, it was, I think, some of this inevitability that, it's here. You just had to turn on any North American sports broadcast, and you can see, Canadians, we see the ads, the logos, the programs that talk about it. We see it all. And so the inevitability was there too, but it was also, we had a great coalition of organizations that really helped lead the way. And that included, we had the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, we had major labor unions, municipalities like the mayor of Niagara Falls went to Ottawa for us on a couple of occasions to lobby to make sure it could happen. The city of Windsor was the same. We had amateur sport. The Canadian Olympic Committee went to committee this time and spoke in favor. Wow. Canada Soccer,
great.
Rugby Canada, all of these national amateur bodies said it's time. And so we had, there was literally nobody. Responsible gaming professionals were saying it's better in a regulated environment than not. Bring it out of the shadows. Let's get this into the regulated regime in Canada. And so, that was, it was that wide, diverse group of voices that stood up and said it's time. And we got there. Because of the parliamentary system, the Prime Minister can basically call election whenever he wants. And so we're into a threat of the House and Senate rise for the summer at the end of June. And we knew they weren't coming back because we're talking now an election next month in Canada. And So we needed to get that done. So we were really up against a very short period of time in the Senate. And we had a terrific sponsor, Senator David Wells from Newfoundland, who really made it happen because we got through the Senate in a very short period of time, much in thanks to his work, because if we hadn't been successful before the summer recess, the bill may have died again because all the legislation gets wiped off the table if there's an election called. So we got it done, and the provinces are now trying to figure out and determine their offerings within their jurisdiction because they get to control that.
Well, let me ask you. I mean, I've talked to a lot of different gaming officials in each state in the U.S., and they all said we are keenly familiar and aware what the states are doing around us. I mean, I've had some officials say they actually studied their neighboring state laws very closely. How much was Canada influenced by the legislation that was passed in the United States? Did you guys look at the United States and see what each state was doing and kind of mold your legislation after that? Or was Canada really not influenced by the U.S.?
Well, the legislation that was required, the Safe and Regulated Sports Betting Act, was about 14 words and 2 lines long.
Okay.
Because what it removed was the prohibition on betting on a single sporting event. And that's all it was required. That was such a simple bill. Mm-hmm. The provinces now, through their regulations, and there's no more legislation required by any province. It's all through regulation. So the province of Ontario just released yesterday their draft standards. And I'll talk more about Ontario in a second because there's some really great things going on. Mm-hmm. But so each province is going through this process. And actually, we as the Canadian Gaming Association we call it a Regulatory Innovation Committee, and what we have is we have a committee of industry and regulators because Canada is not a big country in terms of the number of jurisdictions. Yeah, it's a lot of geographic territory, but we brought together 7 gaming regulators and really helped them understand sports betting and how best to regulate it. So we ran sessions with U.S. states. Regulators, talking to them about what they did. There is a lot of connection in North America between the regulators. So they do look at what, individual states have done. New Jersey, Indiana, for example, Michigan. And so we did that, and with the sports betting industry, being able to give and educate regulators on what they need to do, because our concern was it is a very different product to regulate. Mm-hmm. And so that's been going on. So we've seen in Ontario, on top of all of this and separate from everything, is the Ontario government has decided to regulate internet gaming.
Okay.
And deal with this large gray market we've had in this country. So they're creating a regulatory regime for online gaming. But what they're doing, unique to North America, is they're creating an open licensing system, which means any sports betting company, any online gaming company that wants to come and offer their product in the province of Ontario just needs to come and be licensed. There's no tethering, there's no restrictions, there's no nothing. So it's going to be a very open and competitive market. That process the regulatory regime is being created right now. It is probably more modeled off a more European, UK type online gaming regulation than anything anybody's seeing in the United States. It's expected to open later this year. And so that's going to create in Ontario, which is the 5th largest market in North America, an open licensing model for anybody who wants to come. And they're coming. So it's going to be a very competitive, great for consumers market. But it's a chance for companies who may not have been shut out of individual states or others to say, I can come here, I can get licensed, and I can offer my product to people in Ontario.
I think that's important for you to bring out. I mean, one thing about sports betting here in the United States is that it's controlled by the individual states, and Canada is broken up into provinces. Now, you explained one province. I mean, how is that going to work in that country? Will each province have its own set of sports betting regulations? Will there be province where you can place a sports bet in the near future, and there are other ones that won't you can't place a bet? I mean, how is that going to work with regard to the provinces in Canada?
So I just talked about Ontario, which is inviting everybody to come and play in the market, which is terrific. So I'm right next door in the province of Quebec. Lotto Quebec, which is a province of Ontario or province of Quebec government agency. It's owned and operated by the government. They operate and offer all gaming within the boundaries of the province of Quebec. They have an online platform. They have sports on it. I don't know if they're going to invite a private sector sportsbook operator into their province. And that's the same in British Columbia right now. I know the province of Alberta is going through a process to look at it's something like a tethered model because they have 27 casinos in the province. They have a provincial online gaming site run by the provincial government, but they are looking at a retail option with a mobile app extension for the province of Alberta. Saskatchewan, the province of Saskatchewan is the gaming is split between the government of Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority, which is a business operated by the First Nations of Saskatchewan. They operate casinos within the province, six I think it is right now. And they're being given the mandate to offer online gaming and sports betting for the province. So they're going to be going through a process of determining how they want to do that. They don't have any sportsbook expertise, so they're going to bring in one or two. It's only 1 million people in Saskatchewan. It's not a huge market. But they're looking and evaluating. And that's what other provinces are going through right now. So there's going to be opportunities in some, but not all, for private sector sportsbook operators. There'll be consumer choice. Will be greater in some jurisdictions than others. Mm-hmm. And, we've encouraged them to look at this and say, because the ease of access to the gray market will continue to exist everywhere but Ontario. Ontario will have it'll be black and white, legal or illegal. There'll be no gray anymore once the Ontario government finishes their regulatory model. That's not the same for the rest of the country. And so they've been competing with these companies. I mean, Bet365 has a very strong customer base here, so does Betway.
Well, I was
been operating here for years.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, how do you see people betting in Canada in the very near future? I mean, do you think in some provinces that they'll have to actually go to a physical sports book? Will there be betting at racetracks? Will there be mobile components involved? I mean, what can people expect, and will it be different in the different provinces?
It will be very different, and what we're expecting, that I hope to see, the casinos, if they want them, they can have a retail sports book in their property. That mobile apps, because of, a lot of the European offshore sites have them and people are using them today. So the lottery corporations are building out sports offerings. So Canadians and people, depending on where you live, mm-hmm. you may have a multitude of options, or you may have very few.
Okay.
In a legal, regulated market, but there's always been the gray market out there, and that's in jurisdictions outside Ontario that will continue to exist, and so it's been fairly robust, mm-hmm. and that's why we've seen over $4 billion a year wagered through offshore online sites.
When it comes to the rules and regulations for sports betting, do you think we'll see a lot of uniformity? I mean, here in the U.S., there are some states where you have to be 21 years old to place a bet. In other states, you have to be 18. So I was curious if there's going to be universal rules and regulations for all the provinces if you want to have sports betting.
That's something, as an industry association, why we worked with the regulators. Mm-hmm. We are trying to find some uniformity on some of the big principles. So, are you going to require use of official league data? Ontario just said yesterday no, when they released their standards.
Okay.
But you do have to disclose your data source you're using to settle your bet, so the customer is aware of where the data is coming from. Things around eligibility of what can be bet on. We've been asking the provinces to find some unity on offering of the types of bets or betting. Can you bet on products that predominantly involve a sport that probably involves minors? Probably not going to happen. We're going to say, no, you can't have those bets. You can't. The appropriateness of bets, betting on injuries or things like that. We're trying to get some uniformity on some of those rules at the same time. Also, from an integrity monitoring perspective, is getting some unanimity and agreement on how they're going to do it. Because what we're trying to do is make it easier for people to operate here as they can. That there's not huge differences between jurisdictions on rules. And in terms of what's offered to bet, like Ontario is not restricting any products. So their regulations include daily fantasy pools, exchanges, eSports, live in-game. Everything's on the table. Everything's available. And that's the other thing we've been working towards, is saying, don't restrict the products. Put everything in your market, because then if people are looking for things, they'll go and try and find it in the gray market or legal market. And so we're saying, make sure that the product offering is robust. And Ontario has listened. And so, that's what we're trying to work towards, is trying to create as a robust offering within the jurisdictions as we possibly can get.
I know here in the U.S., some states allow for certain events and other states don't. I mean, for example, I just won money a couple of weeks ago on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. I mean, some states in this country allows bets on the Academy Award. A lot of states right now in the U.S. are allowing betting on the Olympics. I mean, New Jersey just issued a license for a group to have a sports betting platform for eSports. Do you think there are going to be differences on what you can bet on depending on what province you are placing a bet in?
We're hoping not, to be honest. But right now we've seen, we've worked closely in the last several weeks with the province of Ontario and the regulator. And with the release of their standards, they've not excluded anything. And they are including event wagering, so things like the Academy Awards and others. And so they're looking for they put out their standards for consultation yesterday, because they're looking for some feedback from the industry and saying, what is the best way to determine eligibility for the appropriateness of those event type wagers in sports? Like what types of sports potentially, like, as I said, betting on a sport that involves predominantly minors probably won't pass mustard in the province of Ontario. But betting on the Academy Awards is probably going to be happening, and they want to hear from stakeholders about determining those, and because they don't contend that they've got it perfect, but they're saying, hey, listen, tell us the best way to develop these criteria. And so it's been a very collaborative process, which we're grateful for the industry at this time, because it's very important to get it right out of the gate. I think we've seen some examples in the United States, where, we've got to go back and change some things, or we should look at that. And we're trying to help learn from these. And that's why we had some of our regulators in Canada talk to some U.S. regulators to say, okay, if you were doing it over again, would you do the same thing? Would you, and getting into those dialogues, because that was important. Because when government makes a mistake, fixing it can take 3 years.
Sure.
And it's difficult. So the regulators in Canada have been terrific in listening and trying to understand, and they're taking a very collaborative approach. So we're hoping they get it right. I think so far so good. Everything seems to be going in the right direction, and so we're excited for what the opportunity is going to become. Because there's lots of estimates about the market, and a lot of that's going to be determined on how widely it's offered in every jurisdiction.
When it comes to sports betting in the U.S., one of the big issues is how to deal with collegiate sports. I mean, the state I'm sitting in right now, New Jersey, says you cannot bet on a college or university that is located within the state, and you can't bet on a collegiate event that's occurring within the borders of New Jersey. Other states say you can bet on the college game, however, you can't put bets on individual students. What do you think the regulations will look like in Canada with regard to colleges and universities?
I have a feeling Canadians will be able to bet on NCAA football.
Okay. Yeah,
I can tell you that. Within Canadian college sports, I don't know if there's much of an appetite as a betting market, to be honest.
Really?
And I think that there will be, I think from a number of levels, is the sport ready to be bet on? And I don't know if they are in terms of data, official, everybody, where the level it is. It's the way that, I think college events may see themselves. So we have a hockey Final Four, we have a basketball Final Four, we have a Vanier Cup. Those large events are Canadian College Football Championship. Those large events may see them bet on, but regular league play may not find its way in. And that's what the provinces are doing right now in terms of determining what is eligible within the four walls of their province. And I think college sports, and we have a very robust minor hockey system in Canada. The Ontario Hockey League, which is where players are drafted out to the NHL. These players are predominantly 15 to 18 years old. They're given stipends, they're given billeting, and they get some funds towards the university education. But they're privately owned teams. Fans pay to sit in the stands. They operate much like a professional organization, and I don't think that league, the Ontario Hockey League, will be permitted to be bet on. Now, I can tell you it's bet on right now in places in Europe and other places.
Yeah.
But I don't think within the province of Ontario that's going to happen because of the age of the players.
Okay.
And some of the leagues don't want to be bet on. We've had very honest conversations with people saying, "Oh, I'm not interested in seeing that happen." And there's others, because Canada's got a brand new the Canadian Elite Professional Basketball Association. They've got a data deal with Senior Sports. They've got a very robust league that's having a great start. The Canadian Premier League, which is 2 years old, is professional. Canadian professional soccer, they're the same. They have a data deal. They have a sports betting partner now. Those leagues, I think, are thriving for this and want to see it. And the Canadian Football League is very anxious to see that Commissioner Ambrosi appeared with me and in front of the Legislative Committee in the House of Commons to say, yes, please pass this bill.
I remember a couple of years ago when the court case was moving through the U.S. courts to legalize sports betting, the professional league's opinion was that the most evil thing you can do in life is place a bet on sports. And now over the last couple of weeks, I interviewed the head of betting for the PGA Tour and NASCAR, and they're looking to increase betting for their individual sports. You went into a little bit, but has the professional leagues of Canada really started to embrace the idea of sports betting in Canada?
Oh, yeah. They have. Very much so, and it's. I think that it's the reality they've seen is that this is a potential new revenue stream for our leagues, for our franchise owners, and and it can be done with integrity, with the highest level of regulatory oversight, and as they've educated themselves, they found all the reasons why they should support this, and they did. And I think, in Canada, the opposition was muted. In our first attempt at our bill back in 2012, Deputy Commissioner Daly of the NHL his comment was, well, we'd rather see things stay the way they are. Mm-hmm. That was the extent of. Now, Major League Baseball did go to committee to speak against it. But even that wasn't well received in many ways, because they're saying, like, well, your games are bet on. They're bet on. What are you doing now to protect the integrity of your sport? What are you doing now to do this? And wouldn't you rather? And they got grilled pretty good because I think everybody saw the reality is the fact that the sports were being bet on. And I think when they understood the leagues went to understand the industry, and they're saying, "Hey, no, our intellectual property is really being used with no benefit coming back to us," which I think is a big, big issue for the leagues now. And they recognize that, hey, this isn't as scary as we thought it was. Mm-hmm. And credit to them, because they went through the process of educating themselves and understanding that, gee, no, this is actually something we should embrace. And I know, obviously with having just to go through a court system, it took a long time in the United States versus trying to, some convincing legislators to make it legal in the whole country, and sometimes it's a different debate. But I think the leagues have done an excellent job at embracing it and putting it in the right perspective, because I know the NHL, when they appeared in front of the House of Commons, they were asked the question point out, well, you're just turning your gaming, your arenas into betting parlors and things like that. Parliamentary representatives were asking these type of questions, and they were very concise, saying, no, but people can bet everywhere today.
Yeah.
If they have a mobile device, they can bet it wherever they are. We're not going to be, harassing people in the aisles to place bets on the game, but we know that people like to do it. We know they do it, and we're going to make sure that we protect the integrity of our games, our leagues, our reputation. I mean, the Canadian Football League, they want to be still seen as it's a family event to go to a game. They don't want to take that away. Mm-hmm. But they know that, they have to do it in an appropriate manner, and that's what they're all looking at. And I think that will ensure long-term success, in my opinion. And I think that's what we're heading for. And I think it's a great thing that the sports leagues now get compensated for use of their intellectual property, which for many years they weren't. And I think that's been a great benefit for them.
One of the amazing things about sports betting is how the media has embraced it. I mean, you can't turn on one of the U.S. sports channels without seeing betting lines and over-unders. And I'm in the New York, New Jersey media area, and it's just every half hour there's a sports betting show. How has the Canadian media reacted to the fact that single-game sports betting is coming to Canada?
Oh, everybody's gearing up. There's no question about it. We have two major sports broadcasters in Canada. We have Sportsnet, which is owned by Rogers Communications, and TSN, which has a relationship with ESPN, but is owned by Bell Media, which are the two biggest telecommunications providers in the country. So they're also the two biggest mobile phone providers. They drive a lot of content. They own a lot of beyond sports networks, other networks. So they're seeing this with bright eyes right now and trying to figure out how best they can participate in this. And we've even seen the Toronto Star, which is a large daily newspaper here in Toronto, and actually has offered nationally. They're getting into the online gaming and sports betting business. So some are diving in with head first, and others are wading in. We've also seen a lot of growth in sports content, and there's some great companies emerging out of Canada that are focusing and concentrating on Sports Media Playmaker, which is a great Toronto-based publicly traded company, has been active in South and Central America with their football sites and others. There's individual startups. There's a group in Toronto starting it's called the Parlay. We're using PH as an A versus the Y as in giving it Canadian flavor, that are looking to build a sports content platform for sports bettors and sports information. And so it's been, you're seeing it all over. It's robust, and I think it's great. There's been finding the right sports content and offering for sports betting fans. I think it's probably is a boon. I mean, we have another great company, Covers.com, which is a Canadian company.
Sure.
Has been doing great work for years and looking to expand and increase their offering, which is just fantastic.
One of the other big topics in sports betting in the U.S. is responsible gaming. I mean, we just had the president of the American Gaming Association on to talk about their Have a Game Plan, Bet Responsibly program, and they're partnering with different professional leagues and organizations to promote the program. Does Canada have a program to promote or provide assistance with regard to responsible gambling?
We have many. Right. Having government involvement in gambling in Canada is actually one of the great side benefits to all of beyond governments making lots of money for government good programs and for the people of their provinces. We have some of the best responsible gambling programs in the world. The investment has been significant for almost 20 years in the field. So a lot of them are driven out of at the provincial level. So British Columbia Lottery Corporation has a program called GameSense. GameSense is around giving players the tools to make informed choices and encourage responsible play. And that program has been bought by MGM to use in their properties in the United States. It's used in Massachusetts and Oregon. The other province of Ontario has a very good program. PlaySmart, again, player information tools. And I think that you've seen, especially in the last, 6 months, some of the companies truly work to embrace, responsible play into into the conversation they have with their customers. And the end team has made a strong commitment. The folks through Flutter have done the same in their properties. And I think so in Canada we have a strong culture. The responsible gaming regulations they're there for operators to enforce, but there's also a multitude of programs and offerings. So we don't have particularly one brand. We've been talking to our membership about more of a program that's not dissimilar to what the AGA has done. Mm-hmm. But we've had this very strong commitment in Canada, and we export a lot of our expertise and knowledge to other jurisdictions. And so and that was why it was important to us in getting single event sports radio legalized, was say you bring all of this with it. When the regulated market comes, it comes all the responsible gaming requirements and programs for operators. And so we don't have a national program per se, but we do have strong provincial programs that have been working and very active for years. And we're, as I said, as a country, we've been having the investment and debate and integration of responsible gaming programming into the customer conversation has been going on for almost 20 years here. So we're confident that it's going to be the right thing for players. It's the right everybody encouraging healthy play, but also for those who have been betting in places that they may not have seen those, that there are tools now available for them. Because I often said that we had large organized crime operations running books, and I've often said the Hells Angels don't have a responsible gaming program, and that's the reason why you need to start regulating these products in Canada. And it's true. So because the industry's done a very good job here.
Is there a time frame or is there a target date for when single game sports betting will begin in Canada?
There's one small hurdle left.
Okay.
In the federal government the federal cabinet has to proclaim an enactment date, and they haven't done it yet.
Okay.
And I can tell you we're bugging them because some provinces, that have a very robust sports offering on tap, ready to go, because some of the provincial lottery corporations have very robust sports offerings right now, and all they want to do is flip the switch. That in some jurisdictions in Canada, at least through those platforms, you could see it in a matter of days or weeks. I think some jurisdictions are aiming for retail options, hopefully by fall, to take advantage of the fall sports season. So it's not going to take very long. We just need the federal government to do this one last, which we thought was fairly routine and wouldn't now be a month later, waiting for it to happen. But they've told us soon, so we're going to keep them to finding out what soon means. But it's, I think it's in a matter of weeks, and hopefully, the fall sports season. I know the casino operators I talk to, I want a sports book in my building by Labor Day if I can do it. And I think so. It's a lot of work for regulators and everybody else to bring this to fruition in a short period of time, but the people are doing the work. So we're hopefully soon.
Paul, we're running out of time, but do you have a website or a social media address so people can keep up to date about what's going on with the Canadian Gaming Association and sports betting in Canada?
We do. We're at canadiangaming.ca is our website, and at Canadian Gaming is our Twitter handle, and follow us there. You'll soon see us starting to poke our federal government, asking them where this enactment date is. So we're going to get it and start poking them soon. But no, that's where you can find us, and we're but there's lots of great things coming in Canada. So hope everybody, when they chance to visit, they'll see some really great sports books and some really great offerings, and in the not too distant future.
Paul Burns, President and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, thank you so much for coming on and telling us what's going on with sports betting in Canada. It's an absolutely beautiful country. I can't wait to come back up there, and this time I can place a bet on my favorite team. Please come back on and keep us updated about what's going on in Canada.
I will, for sure, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
During these difficult times, we understand how important it is to stay healthy and safe. With so many of us confined to our homes and not being able to work, we feel the financial burden more than ever. Many folks lost their jobs and businesses. Others were furloughed, and some are working from home at reduced pay. Keeping up with your bills is not easy under these circumstances. If you have credit card debt and cannot keep up with your monthly payments, we at Debt Fix Pros are here to help. Give us a call to see how we can reduce your interest rates and lower your monthly payments. Protect your credit and let us help you find a solution that fits your needs. We, your friends at Debt Fix Pros, are here to help. Let us take care of your credit card debt so you can focus on what is really important. Call for a free phone consultation at 800-919-6011. 800-919-6011. That's 800-919-6011. 800-919-6011. United we stand.
We'll get right back to the show, but I want to take a minute to talk to you about Bean Genius. How would you like your coffee delivered right to your door every month, maybe 2 times a month? Well, now that can happen with Bean Genius. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country at beangenius.com. And Bean Genius actually learns their customers' individual taste preferences, then suggests future coffee blends for them. Well, how do they do that? Well, this is the cool thing about Bean Genius. Over at beangenius.com, they use an algorithm which learns the coffee flavors you like and then pairs up what you like with the coffee that they have in stock. And it's all based upon you. Every time you order, the system learns. The system learns your preferences as you go along and order more and more coffee. And now, all our listeners at Turnpike Sports can get a special offer. You head on over to beangenius.com/subscription, and you'll be able to get 10% off your purchase when you use our promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E, at checkout. That's 10% off at beangenius.com/subscription with promo code PIKE, P-I-K-E. beangenius.com, the smart specialty coffee subscription service.
It's getting warmer outside, and the action is really starting to heat up on the tables at Party Poker in New Jersey. Sign up with code EXIT7A and take advantage of Party Poker's new sign-up offer of $25 free, plus a first deposit match up to $600, and start playing poker online today. Daily tournaments, cash games, sit-and-goes. The Party Poker U.S. network offers players an opportunity to participate in their favorite poker tournaments online every day, all day. And don't forget about their Sunday tournament featuring $35,000 in guaranteed prize money. So head on over to nj.partypoker.com and sign up today with our promo code EXIT7A. New customers get $25 free when registering, plus you also get a first deposit match up to $600. That's code EXIT7A to get your $25 free when registering and your first deposit match up to $600. The cards are in the air at partypoker.com in New Jersey. Must be 21 and over and located in New Jersey. New patrons only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Casino. People gotta win sometime.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a giant, colorful check to deposit.
Beatin The House is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Slots, table games, live dealer games, everything you love about Atlantic City and Vegas, all online at BetMGM. Don't wait. Join in the fun now. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Grab a lion's share of the fun at BetMGM.com. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, welcome to another edition of Beatin The House, where we celebrate the wins at the slots, at the table games, at the poker tables, online, in brick and mortar, everything.
You know, this is when everyone knows that the odds are slanted toward the house, and sometimes people win big, and this is who we want to spotlight.
Well, we're going to start off right away here with 2 at the Venetian.
2 at the Venetian. Big week at the Venetian.
Well, we just went through a Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
And
any big wins on Friday the 13th?
That's exactly what we're going to talk about
right
here.
All right, great.
The first Venetian, Friday the 13th, a $2 bet on the, and here's another Wheel of Fortune.
Wow.
A Wheel of Fortune double 3 times, 4 times, 5 times pay game. That's another version of it.
What's it called?
The Wheel of Fortune double 3 times, 4 times, 5 times pay.
Okay.
It's
all right.
When you walk by it, you see it. I mean, it's easier to see it than it is to say it on the air. But a $2 bet turned into just over $1 million.
Wow. Okay.
The woman had 3 Wheel of Fortune symbols lined up to activate the progressive jackpot.
Now, you say the woman. I'm assuming
Nora D.
Oh, okay. Well, she halfway made it, because I was wondering, a lot of times when people win jackpots, they want to remain anonymous. So she gave her first name, huh?
And she took a picture next to the winning machine, too.
Great.
So,
I'm seeing a lot of that on Facebook. A lot of the big checks from the casinos. The casinos really publicize, the big winners. They're there holding their big check. So it's great to see.
Well, it gets the customers in.
Oh, absolutely.
The more PR, the more people win, the more people go.
Yeah.
The other bet at the Venetian happened earlier in the week.
Okay.
Again, Wheel of Fortune. This is the Wheel of Fortune Wild Red Sevens slot machine.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing how many versions of Wheel of Fortune there are for slot machines.
Well, we're going to go into that in just a second, because it's a special month for the Wheel of Fortune slot machine.
I'm going to start playing that more online. In New Jersey, we have real money online slots in the different online casinos, so I'm going to try Wheel of Fortune.
This was a $5 bet,
all right,
made by a guest who will remain anonymous.
No
first name, no
he
last
remained
initial.
Anonymous. Okay.
Wheel of Fortune Wild Red Sevens machine, $5 bet turned into just under $1.6 million.
Wow.
Now that's a jackpot
great.
There. So $5
now, since
into
he
that.
remained anonymous, did he even take a picture, or do you even know if he took a picture or not?
They did not show a picture.
They did not show a picture.
Well, anonymous.
Sure. Well, I know that, but you can.
Well, if you take a picture with your check,
I
it's
guess
got your name on
I
it.
guess. Well, I didn't know if they, if a person can request, don't put my name on the big check when you take a picture of me.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
So,
but,
Wheel of Fortune, a big week for Wheel of Fortune, huh?
Well, IGT is celebrating 25 weeks of Wheel of Fortune.
25 weeks?
Yes.
What is this? Is this like a big holiday?
Since June 15th through December 1st. 25 weeks of Wheel of Fortune.
So what does that mean? Special
it's the
things?
silver anniversary of the game.
Okay.
They're going to be doing...
Silver anniversary means 25 years.
Right.
Okay.
So this is just for the Wheel of Fortune, and also if you go to the Wheel of Fortune Facebook page, they have a Facebook page for the game.
Okay.
They're doing giveaways.
Great.
So IGT is...
So let me ask you something. Like I said, we're here in New Jersey. We have online casinos. We have real money online slots. Anything special with Wheel of Fortune? I guess we have to check that out because, like I said before, I want to play some Wheel of Fortune. Now I really want to play Wheel of Fortune if they're celebrating their 25th anniversary with giveaways and things like that.
There are over 250 different game variations of the Wheel of Fortune slot.
250?
Yes. Some of them are in cabinets more than 11 feet tall. And this is actually credited as being the forerunner to all these TV deals we're seeing for slots. This was the very first, according to IGT, the very, very first licensed slot machine brand from a TV show, from an entertainment property.
Really? I didn't know that.
So, the first game that they brought out, the Wheel of Fortune game, didn't even have a wheel. It was a 3-reeled slot machine.
Okay.
But it didn't have the Wheel of Fortune wheel
All right.
that everything else now has.
So to look at that first one, you wouldn't know it was associated with the show.
You would see Wheel of Fortune at the words.
Okay.
But other than that, it doesn't look like anything that's going on now with these Wheel of Fortune games. But again, 25 years, 25 weeks of celebration, giveaways on the Wheel of Fortune
okay, I gotta check it
Facebook
out.
page. And congratulations. That's one of the longest running slots, too.
Yeah, no, I'm not joking. I'm going to check out Wheel of Fortune on the online slot, so I'm going to see what they're doing there.
And we're going to move over from the Venetian to some other Caesars properties in Nevada.
Okay.
We have 3 people winning jackpots all on a Saturday.
All right.
Brian Rodriguez, he let his name out there.
Okay, great.
He was playing the Blazing 7 slot machine and won just under $200,000
Okay.
at Bally's.
Great.
He was in town with friends, decided to just throw in a couple bucks into the machine, and he won almost just over $197,000. Another guy just threw money in.
Great.
He's going to give some of it to charity.
Good for him.
Saturday, also a player who remained anonymous hit a straight flush on 3-card poker at the Rio for just over $96,000.
Great. Good.
And then at Harrah's Lake Tahoe, a player turned a royal flush on Ultimate Texas Hold'em into just over $170,000.
Wow. Good for him.
It was a regular at the lakeside property and was in town to celebrate the 20th wedding anniversry they were having.
Good for him.
Talk about great.
What a great wedding anniversary.
And it was also a sibling's birthday. They didn't decline to say, whether it was a brother or sister.
Okay.
Going over to Tioga Downs Casino, New York State.
All right.
We have a Mississippi stud win. A player who just did a $1 wager on a Mississippi stud table game had a hand of royal flush of spades and won over $137,000.
I don't know how to play Mississippi stud. I guess I have to look that up.
And he also did a side bet, which earned him another couple grand on top of the $137,000.
I'm assuming this is like one of those tables like Pai Gow and 3-card poker and Caribbean poker kind of thing.
He wasn't sitting at a poker table; he was at a table game.
Yeah, he was at a table game.
So, it's one of the largest winnings in quite a while. Tioga Downs. They said it was like something like 5-6 years before somebody, since somebody won something like that.
Oh, okay.
So one of the biggest jackpots at Tioga Downs, and then we have a bad beat.
I love these stories. I love to hear what a property's bad beat thing is, because one time we had a bad beat where everyone at the table won. Then we had another bad beat where everyone in the room won. Then we had another bad beat, I think it was Stations Casino, where everyone who was at a Stations Casino, not the actual specific casino that person won
In the poker
lost
room.
at,
In the poker room.
but everyone in the station casinos,
the various poker rooms of the station.
various different locations of the stations casinos won. So
we got a Stations again.
Another Stations. Okay, does this mean that people won in different
Everywhere.
locations? Oh wow. Okay,
The
good.
Santa Fe Station Casino had their Jumbo Hold'em Poker Bad Beat Progressive hit again. Total payout $185,000.
Okay.
Losing hand was quad nines. Winning hand was quad aces. The winning hand won $20,000. The losing hand, which is actually the winning hand here, is won $30,000.
Great.
All the players at the table won $2,100, just under $2,200, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And every poker player in the Stations Casino poker room won $1,000 each.
Great.
How about that? You're
That's
sitting
great.
in another casino, and all of a sudden, someone hits.
Yeah, someone hit the bad beat from across town, and you get some money. Great.
Well, this is the first time they actually released the numbers of the people playing in the different poker rooms.
All right.
Red Rock had 74 players at the time. Santa Fe had 22 total. And Boulder Station had 30 players.
And they all came away with something.
They all came away with $1,000.
Great.
So that's it for this week's Beatin the House segment. Casinos, sportsbooks, online casinos, lotteries. If you have any winners you want us to talk about, send it over to info@turnpikesportsradio.com.
The book report's next, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Tax Solutions Now is a complimentary referral service that connects callers to companies that provide tax services.
Money matters. If you owe thousands in back taxes to the IRS, how much can Tax Solutions Now save you?
I paid less than I owe.
That's right, money matters. So call Tax Solutions Now and get the IRS off your back. Since 2014, Tax Solutions Now has been a leader in the tax resolution industry. Remove wage garnishments, property liens, fines, and penalties. Qualify for the Fresh Start program or even uncollectible status. How much can Tax Solutions Now save you?
I owed the IRS over $10,000. I paid a fraction of what I owed.
Call now to reduce or even eliminate your back taxes.
I called Tax Solutions Now and got the IRS off my back. Thanks. You saved us a ton of money.
Money matters. How much can Tax Solutions Now save you? Call now and find out.
Call 800-683-7377. 800-683-7377. 800-683-7377.
Free stuff is awesome, but free stuff that will spice up your bedroom is even better. Just go to adamandeve.com and select almost any one item for 50% off, and then we'll load on the free stuff. Just enter this very exclusive code, BABE16 at checkout, and you'll get 10 tantalizing free gifts, including a sexy item for him, a special toy for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy. And 6 extra special bonus items that are sure to rev your engine, pique your curiosity, and even blow you away. Plus, free shipping! Always sent in discreet packaging. Go to adamandeve.com now. Get 50% off plus the 10 free gifts when you enter the exclusive offer code BABE16. That's BABE16, because without it, no free stuff. That's BABE16 at adamandeve.com.
Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Are your deductibles too high? Or are you completely uninsured? If you answered yes to any of these questions, Healthcare Help Desk can help you now when people need help the most. Health insurance laws and rules have changed. If you have Obamacare, are uninsured, or your premiums are too high, call Healthcare Help Desk. It's free. New healthcare plans are available, and you may qualify for dental coverage and lower copays and deductibles. Make the free call now. Top quality coverage at the lowest prices anywhere. You may be paying too much and not even know it. In these troubled times, healthcare is more important than ever. Don't let another day go by without health insurance. Policies are being offered with very low copays and deductibles. So if you're uninsured, underinsured, or paying too much, call Healthcare Help Desk.
800-329-7906. 800-329-7906. 800-329-7906.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, give us a call at 800-231-9279. That's 800-231-9279. 800-231-9279.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sportsbook. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to another edition of the Book Report, where we talk about the different state and national sports betting number reports. We've got launches. We usually talk about legislation. And we also include an entire segment on deals. And boy, do we have a lot of deals to talk about. It was a very, very, very busy week in deals.
Football season's coming up. They're making the deals.
Well, we also got a bunch of new states launching, so that's also spurring on a lot of these deals, too. Right. But before we get to the deals and some of the legislation, because we got to talk about what New York released, too, let's talk some numbers here. And we're going to talk Indiana real quickly. Indiana sports betting passed the $4 billion mark with the release of their July numbers. They started September 2019, and in that first year, from September 2019 to July of 2020, that's when they passed their first $1 billion in handle.
Yeah, I know. Indiana's doing amazing.
1 year later, add $3 billion more to that total. They've crossed $4 billion in 1 year.
Wow. So
Indiana gamblers love betting on sports. $3 billion handle in just the last 12 months in that state. The $4 billion handle also translates into $300 million lifetime revenue in the state, which is a very good number for a sports betting state. Moving over to Oregon, I know you love Oregon for one reason only, and it's why we're going to talk about it. Do you want to guess what we're going to talk about?
Well, it's either Oregon or Colorado, because they love their table tennis. Did I hit what you were talking about?
They have loved their table tennis since the beginning of this market, and they still do. Table tennis came in sixth again as the top sport in terms of handle.
Now, this is Oregon, right?
This is Oregon.
All right.
$1 million in handle.
Jeez.
Average bet size of $60, and 17,491 bets were placed on table tennis in the month of July.
Wow.
I don't even know what the seasons are for table tennis.
I
still
idea.
do not. And it's just...
Well, these are, I'm assuming these table tennis tournaments or competitions are overseas, right? Because I'm not seeing
They're all over the world.
They're all, but they're not in the U.S.
No.
Are any of these in the U.S.?
I don't know if there's too many table tennis tournaments in the U.S.
There should be, with the way people are betting on table tennis.
I got to look into whether or not there's a U.S. table tennis league that has betting on it.
Yeah.
Talking national-wise, this is kind of interesting. The numbers were released for the halfway point of 2021, since we're 7 months into the year in terms of financial reports here. Over $24.2 billion in handle, $1.75 billion in revenue, and more than $260 million in tax revenue for the legalized sports betting states and District of Columbia. You compare to all this last year. These are the numbers from 2020, halfway point. No, these are actually the numbers for all of 2020.
Okay.
$21.5 billion.
Wow.
Total handle. $1.47 billion total revenue, $240 million total tax.
Okay.
Let's see, the fifth highest of the month, 37 months post-PASPA, and easily clearing the previous 2021 high in terms of hold of 8.23%.
Now, that was June, you said.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
That was June.
That was the month of June.
Yes.
That was the fifth highest,
yep.
Right?
National handle for June decreased even.
Okay.
Especially with these numbers. The national handle for June was 1.1% compared to May.
All right.
And also one little horse racing note. And I saw this note because we were the media sponsors for the Racing and Gaming Conference at Saratoga. The Saratoga meet was going on through the first 20 days of this year's meet. They were averaging a daily handle of $20 million on the races.
Great. It sounds pretty good.
20 days, $20 million
Great.
each day. What is that? That's $400 million, something like that. So they're doing very, very well.
Wow.
In terms of the Saratoga meet.
Well, first off, it's a great place. I mean,
it's beautiful there.
Saratoga is one of the historic racetracks of this country, and I get to it if you haven't gotten there yet because it's amazing to see. And it's great to see they're doing well.
Well, they are doing extremely well. I'm curious to see what the rest of the meets handle looks like average daily, because that's just an incredible number if you think about it.
Yep.
Had a couple launches to talk about. Zen Sports received approval from the Nevada Gaming Control Board to operate Lovelock's Big Wheel Casino, which is the casino they're going to be owning.
Great.
They're going to be running the entire casino. They're also going to be allowed to do a sportsbook at Baldini Sports Casino in Sparks. Zen Sports is the peer-to-peer betting platform.
Great.
We actually had Mark Thomas on, and he talked about doing these types of deals. And
I was racking my brain to figure out who I spoke to, who I interviewed at Zen Sports. So I'm glad you said that. Because I know they were on this show. So okay.
Well, they still got to get Nevada Gaming Commission approval for their license, but they have gotten Gaming Control Board approval to operate the casino and that sportsbook.
Mm-hmm.
Barstool launched in Colorado. The Barstool Sportsbook, I should say, the online sportsbook, launched in Colorado and Virginia last week.
Okay.
Penn National Gaming opened up their Hollywood Casino York property last week, which featured a retail Barstool book.
Now, is that Barstool's first branded retail sportsbook?
And it won't be the last.
According
to Penn National, they're going to be doing a lot more retail
I saw a lot of
books.
pictures of it. It looks great. I have to find out where York is. I mean, I'm in New Jersey, so is York that far away? Is it?
Yes, it's on the other side of Pennsylvania.
Is it really?
Yes.
Damn. So I'll go find it.
Last but not least, in terms of launches, this is an actual book launch. This is a bet type launch. In Indiana, DraftKings has now launched the same game parlay system. They didn't have that in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
They're figuring, given what happened with BetMGM. BetMGM actually launched it earlier than DraftKings has, and BetMGM's position in the market shifted dramatically upwards. They got a better market share when they introduced same-game parlays. So DraftKings is hoping the same thing happens with them. They get a bigger market share in Indiana because of same-game parlays. FanDuel is kicking butt out there with everything in terms of the lead in terms of market share for that state.
By the way, back to the York, Pennsylvania, where that is. That's actually kind of a doable trip because it's about it's near Lancaster. It's before Gettysburg, so that's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not a bad trip. I mean, you got to do the Pennsylvania Turnpike.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing on that turnpike once you get past
maybe
the Philadelphia
check out
area.
The Barstool Retail Sportsbook in York, Pennsylvania.
Well, we're going to see more Barstool retail books across the country. Mm-hmm. So, may see one soon in Jersey. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go over to some legislation.
All right.
And New York is always dominating some of the talk in terms of legislation. They just released the primary applicant and applications for the mobile sports betting.
This made big news everywhere.
I'm actually really impressed with the variety of bids that were placed. Let's just go through the main primary applicants, and then we can talk about this because everyone knows there's a super bid out there. Primary applicants, Bet365, Canby twice, FanDuel, FoxBet, and the ScoreBet. Now, Bet365, FoxBet, and the ScoreBet do not have any partners in their bid.
Okay.
So they're each throwing in $25 million each to be a platform provider.
Mm-hmm.
The Canby bids are multi-partner as well as the FanDuel bid. Canby is with Fanatic Sportsbook, which is interesting, the clothing company.
Okay, I was going to say, is that the clothing brand?
I'm actually curious to see what their sportsbook is going to look like. But they have said they want to do a sportsbook, and they have partnered with Canby for the New York market. The other Canby deal has Caesar Sportsbook, Resorts World, PointsBet, Rush Street, and WinBet.
Okay.
Now, Rush Street just got the Connecticut lottery deal.
Sure.
Can you imagine Rush Street, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut?
No, they have the Northeast tied up.
Just about. I mean, the only thing they can't get is New Hampshire, unless something changes with that law. But they could be all the way up the East Coast, from Mid-Atlantic all the way up to the top.
Sure.
The other bid by FanDuel, and this is the super bid. And it was kind of interesting. When it was released at the beginning, they talked about FanDuel with Ballybet, BetMGM, DraftKings, the Yankees, the Yes Network, the Buffalo Bills.
I saw the Yes Network.
The Seneca Nations.
Like yeah.
So that is a huge
Sabres too, Buffalo Sabres.
Yep. It's a huge consortium in this one application, and it just was released on Friday. That the New York Gaming Division released more information. They released redacted applications, and everyone noticed that there's this one specific part of the application that by FanDuel here FanDuel, Ballybet, BetMGM, and DraftKings have all applied to be platform providers, which means each one has to kick in $25 million. So that's a $100 million bid.
Wow.
Right there.
That's unbelievable.
So you got 25, 25, 25, 25, 25, and then 100.
But you know what? It's New York. You're going to make that money up. I mean, number one, it's the number one media market in the world, and you're just licensed to print money. If you're mobile in New York City.
Again, a lot of this isn't just the bids themselves.
Yeah.
There's a scoring procedure. You partner with a Native American tribe, you get so many points added onto your bid. If you increase the amount of revenue you're going to share, you get more points added to your bid. There's a whole scoring situation there where, again, it's not just the bid on its face that's going to be deciding who gets what. It's going to be what's going on in terms of how well they score and all this. Somebody can come in with a 75% revenue share and win over any of these. So it'll be interesting to see exactly where everyone falls with all this stuff. Florida, we know that the compact was approved, or a non-approval from the Department of Interior. The compact was published in the Federal Register, so that is now an official gaming compact.
Okay.
That means craps, roulette, and retail sportsbooks at tribal casinos are coming in the fall. The online portion is going to be basically lawsuit heavy. So we don't know when that's going to launch, but everything else as part of that compact is going to happen.
Great.
New Jersey, Governor Murphy signed the fixed odds bill into law.
Which is great.
So it's a 10-year exclusive deal with Monmouth Park and the New Jersey Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association with bet makers. They'll be the official distributor of the fixed odds for horse racing.
I think this is great. I mean, it's great for the horse racing industry. Fixed odds basically means when you place a bet on a horse, you lock in those odds the moment you make that bet. Before, the way it was is pari-mutuel betting, which means you bet on the horse, but the odds will change up until the start of the race.
Right.
So fixed odds, you can really it is what it says. You fix the odds when you make the bet.
Well, I think that's going to make horse racing a lot more appealing to a larger population of bettors out there. And I think there are sports bettors who avoid horse race betting.
Well, look, I mean, I hope this makes it easier, especially for online betting, because, I haven't placed an online horse bet ever. The only bet I make on horses are at the track. So hopefully this makes it easier for it to transition into the online betting realm.
Especially in states like New Jersey.
Yeah.
Two other little notes regarding legislation. Canada, and we just had Paul Burns on from the Canadian Gaming Association. This was taped before this announcement.
I mean, look, the news happens every day. I mean, sports betting news is incredibly fluid.
Well, the criminal code was amended. That was the last step in the procedure.
Yeah.
Provinces will be allowed to begin offering wagers on single events beginning August 27th.
Okay.
Now, again, all the provinces still have to enact sports betting regulations and rules, so that's a fluid deadline. And California came out of nowhere with another ballot referendum.
I really don't think it's going to happen. But
there's one for the tribal associations in California that's going to be on the November ballot.
That might happen before
yes,
complete government-run sports betting.
The one this one is dealing with the non-Native American tribes. This is for racetracks, card rooms, pro sports teams, and also it does include the tribes, but it's more of an overall industry ballot referendum. I didn't know this because I actually, frankly, never counted. 19 pro sports teams in California.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah, no, they have a lot of baseball teams, a lot of hockey teams.
They've got 5 baseball teams, 3 hockey teams, 4 basketball teams, 3 football teams, 1 WNBA team, 3 Major League Soccer teams.
Oh, okay.
And this one is proposing a 25% tax rate that would generate $500 million annually to the state of California. And that's not including any books associated with the pro teams.
That would be great.
So you're looking at one huge deal if that goes through. Let's talk real quickly about some of these deals that happened over the last week here. Connecticut Lottery appointed Rush Street Interactive as their official sports betting partner. We talked more about this in the Fifth Exit.
Yeah.
Our little additional feature that we've started up. If you want to hear our full discussion on it, go ahead and take a listen to it. But one of the things about the Connecticut Lottery doing the deal with Rush Street, it doesn't involve any of the gaming compacts that the Native Americans did with DraftKings and FanDuel for Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun. The one important aspect of those, they still haven't been approved by the Department of Interior yet.
Okay.
So they may not be able to start at the beginning of the NFL season like Connecticut wants the Connecticut Lottery to do. They may have a jump on them because of these compacts.
Look, we keep saying that we don't know if it's going to happen before NFL football. It'd be crazy if they sat on this and didn't let it happen before NFL football started, or even college football. But no, I honestly think this is going to happen pretty quick.
Well, again, it's all depending on the Department of Interior.
Well, I think they're going to move pretty quick.
The deadline date is September 9th for their approval or non-approval. They may do a non-approval approval again.
I think within a week and a half, I think this is going to – the Department of Interior will move on this.
Well, we'll see what happens.
That's my gut feeling. They're not going to let all this revenue from football betting go away. You know, it's not going to happen. But in about a week and a half, I'm sure this will all be worked out.
Well, let's stay with Rush Street for a little bit.
All right.
They did a deal with Chicago Bears former coach, Mike Ditka, to be their brand ambassador. He's going to be doing some giveaways, promos. He's going to be doing a content show called The Coach's Picks of the Week. And then he's going to do a weekly web video series called Beat the Coach.
Beat the Coach?
The Coach. The
Bears. The Bears, okay.
Yeah. So that's going to be during the regular season and the playoffs. Moving over to some other deals, let's talk Arizona. Arizona had monster deals going through everywhere here. Different sports books dealing with different locations. We have BetMGM doing a deal not only with the Gila River Casino, but the Arizona Cardinals. So it's the first relationship between BetMGM and any entity in the state of Arizona. I like the fact that they're talking about doing another retail sports book in the Arizona Cardinals Stadium.
That's great. Yeah, why not?
And
look, if you're going to have online sports betting, you're going to bet in the stadium anyway, so you might as well make some money off it. I mean, anyone who goes to a stadium, the other big thing is they keep saying, oh, they're starting to bet in bars in Washington, D.C. They're betting in bars anyway. If you have a cell phone, you're betting in bars. You're betting in restaurants. You're betting everywhere. You're betting on the toilet. Guess what?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're betting everywhere. So you might as well have sports books everywhere, and
But I
let the people decide.
I like the fact that BetMGM's taking their time with the retail book. It's going to be 2022 NFL season.
Okay.
They're not going to rush one through.
All right. Well,
which
great.
actually makes sense. WinBet, as well as BlueBet, Betfred, and MaximBet all made deals in Arizona.
I've never heard of MaximBet.
Well, that used to be sportsbetting.com. That's Carousel Group.
Okay. There used to be a magazine called, it still might be.
There is. That's their co-owners.
Okay.
It's Maxim Mag and Carousel
all right.
doing MaximBet. We've got WinBet doing a deal with Shaquille O'Neal.
Wow.
Which is actually kind of an interesting deal because he actually sold stake in his NBA team to be part of this deal.
Great.
He had to divest himself of ownership of, I want to get the team right before let's see. He had to divest himself of the Sacramento Kings share he owned.
Okay.
Before he can actually do the deal. And he's going to be doing guest appearances on the different shows that WinBet has a deal with Cumulus, as well as the Blue Wire podcasts. Unibet did a deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I saw that, yeah.
They are now the official sports book of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to have the Unibet tailgate zone outside the stadium. They're also going to do a Steelers-themed casino game exclusively on the Unibet PA online casino.
Doesn't Unibet do the same thing with the Eagles, too, or
yes.
something similar with the
Eagles? Yes, they do pretty much the same deal.
Philadelphia
also,
Eagles.
they do the same deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, hey, hitting Pennsylvania hard. Good for them.
Let's see. What other... one other big, let's go through another announcement. VSiN has brought on, remember the quarterback, Sean King?
Sure.
He is now going to be the co-host of, I want to get this right, The Nightcap.
Okay.
With Tim Murray.
Okay.
So he's going to be a co-host for...
He was on a couple weeks ago. I listened to VSiN. I think they're on the iHeartMedia network or whatever VSiN is on. And Sean King was on with Tim Murray he was just a guest at that time, but he was on the show. So he's very good.
Well, one last thing to talk about, because there was so much stuff, and everything will be on the... Turnpike Sports blog, the book report entry there after the show is released. DraftKings acquired Golden Nugget Online Gaming.
Yes.
Any other week, that would have been the top story. It's just amazing. This week was just crazy. Oh, before I forget, Caesar Sportsbook brought on Trey Wingo as the Chief Trends Officer and Brand Ambassador.
Great.
I love Trey Wingo.
Great.
But DraftKings acquired Golden Nugget Online Gaming, all-stock transaction for about $1.5 billion. It's more along the lines of the online casino side of everything, but the deal also gives DraftKings market access in a bunch of different states that they didn't have because of Golden Nugget.
Yep.
It's going to be kind of interesting to watch exactly where they go with this. And also they get the Houston Rockets deal, they get the Landry restaurants, all that stuff, and as well as
they don't get to own.
No, they
things.
get the commercial agreements with those groups.
Yes.
So that just an incredible amount of property, I guess you can call it, as part of this deal. I wonder if DraftKings is going to do what BetMGM did with Buffalo Wild Wings with the Landry's restaurants.
That would be fun.
Do a DraftKings channel that.
I was in Buffalo Wild Wings. It almost looks like a sports book.
Well,
and that was in a non-sports betting state. I can imagine what a Buffalo Wild Wings looks like in a betting state.
Well, we're going to have to take a look at that when we can. So, but that's about it right now that we can do on the air. There's a whole mess of stuff we couldn't get to. There was a lot of things happening. Head on over to TurnpikeSportsRadio.com and click on the blog button. You'll see the Turnpike Sports book report in print form after this is released.
We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.